1,000 days, the two Michaels sat hopeless in a windowless cell, fed in doggy bowls that were slid under their door, going 8 months without seeing consular support. Yet according to Global News, a Liberal MP allegedly contacted the Chinese consulate and encouraged them to delay the release of these two Michaels for partisan Liberal gain. The intelligence services that came up with this information to the media would have told the Prime Minister. When did they tell him?
The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me be clear. Bringing back the two Michaels, Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor, was the utmost priority of this government, of all members of this House, of all Canadians across the country. For 2 years, we've worked tirelessly to make sure that these two Michaels, which were arbitrarily detained by China, would be coming back safe home. That's what we did, and that was the only priority. Thinking otherwise is actually false.
Leader of the Opposition.
We have two members of our national security services that have told the media that a Liberal MP told the Chinese not to release the two Michaels. I've now twice asked when the Prime Minister, his office, or his department were informed of this startling revelation. So I'm going to ask a third time, and I ask the Minister to answer. When did the Prime Minister become aware of these allegations? When?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, September 24th, 2021 was a great day for Canada. It was the day when the two Michaels, Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor, came back safely home to Canada. And I think it was a day when this government, all members of this House, all Canadians were proud of what we've done, because indeed the two Michaels were arbitrarily detained for too long in China. And Mr. Speaker, this will always be our priority as a government. We will always stand up against any form of arbitrary detention in state-to-state relations.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
This non-answer is extremely troubling. We have revelations from Canada's top security forces told the media that a Liberal MP asked the Chinese consulate to keep two Canadians in torture in a windowless cell. I asked already 3 times, when did the Prime Minister become aware of these revelations? I ask again, when?
The Honourable Minister for Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank all the members of this House that were involved in making sure that we could raise the case of the two Michaels for 2 years. Because we worked with friends and allies, different states around the world, to make sure that we could advocate their case, and that on September 24th, 2021, they would be coming back here in Canada. And so in that sense, we will always stand up against any form of arbitrary detention. This is part of our priority in terms of foreign policy. In April, in Toronto, we will be hosting an arbitrary detention summit, because the world needs to know that what happened to the two Michaels was unacceptable.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The importance of this question cannot be overstated. If the Prime Minister knew that a member of his Liberal caucus was working to keep two Canadian citizens arbitrarily and illegally incarcerated in windowless cells, potentially being tortured, he knew that and did nothing, that would be a devastating scandal against our national interests. So I am simply asking for the government to clarify. On what date did the Prime Minister find out the revelations that one of his MPs may have helped keep our people in jail?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister knew very well what was happening to the two Michaels, and made sure that his government would be standing up against China in the context of their arbitrary detention. never accept any form of premise that this government and Canadians didn't work enough to bring them back home. It was our priority, and you can be convinced that it will always be our priority when it comes to any form of consular cases or any form of arbitrarily detained Canadians in this world.